Here's how I created these cool gradient map effects in Adobe Photoshop.
So to start, you're going to want to find an image you want to use for this tutorial. I'm going to use this one of Lewis Hamilton. Just make sure it's high quality so we can transform it. From there, you're going to want to grab the rectangular marquee tool and select where you'd like the image to blur out from. You're then going to want to do a layer via copy and duplicate the layer a couple of times, just so we got a few different layers to work with. We're going to go ahead and hide that first layer, select the second layer and go to Filter, Blur and Motion Blur. Make sure the angle is set to 0 and have a play with the distance. Just make sure it's wide enough so we get a nice spread across the image. So you're going to hit OK, and then we're going to move on to the other layer that we've hidden and do the same thing again. However, we're going to do a smaller amount of blur just to create this sort of gradual blur across the image rather than just one big wide blur. After this, we're going to add some adjustment layers, so a black and white layer and a levels layer, just to really create a high contrast image for us to use our gradient maps with a little bit later on. So just to add a bit more texture to our image, we're going to use a halftone effect. You can find this in the filter gallery. Play around with the settings, see what's suitable for your image. I'm going to use quite a small dot size and a large contrast, but just see what works for you and have an experiment with it. Now for the fun part, we're going to add our gradient map. So if you go to the adjustments at the bottom and click gradient map, it'll bring up this dialog box. Now if you double click it, it'll bring up a gradient editor. Whatever you use in the white value will appear where the white is in the image, and same goes with the black. So I really want to get the neon green, yellow and the purple for Lewis Hamilton. However, if you want to use more than 2 colours, go for it, have an experiment, see what you can create with it. So lastly, I just want to add a little bit more texture to my image, so I'm going to use a photocopy overlay, just expand it up and try and really capture like this scratchy and noisy effect that I'm looking for. So I'm going to set the blend mode to screen, but feel free, have a play with some of the other options and see what you think looks good for your image. They all come up with different outcomes and looks, so just have a play with it. So after adding some text and some icons, we have the finished product. I hope this video was of use to you. Please give my page a follow for future TikTok tutorials. Cheers guys!